Please, sir, can I just try one more time? The young man pleaded, his hands trembling as he gripped the edge of the desk at the bank. The bank manager rolled his eyes and closed the file. Mr. Johnson, as I told you, your loan application has been denied. You have no proof of income, no collateral. The man hung his head, his shoulders slumped. But I'm a veteran. I served 2 tours in Afghanistan. The manager let out a mocking smile. Everyone says that. Go try somewhere else. The young man quietly stood up, shouldered his backpack, and walked out of the bank. The laughter that followed him rang in his ears. Neither the manager nor the other employees noticed that the elderly security guard standing by the door had suddenly straightened up. The old man had seen what that small pin on the young veteran's shoulder meant. And exactly 30 minutes later, when 8 military vehicles lined up in front of the bank, everyone would understand just how important that pin really was. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we begin this powerful story, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this need to be heard, hit that subscribe button and help us keep these stories alive. Marcus Johnson, 28 years old, was born and raised in a small town in Alabama called Millerville. He never knew his father and lost his mother when he barely finished high school, and his college dreams fell through due to his family's financial situation. At 18, with an uncertain future and dwindling hopes, he decided to join the military. For him, this wasn't just a job. It was a way to find an identity. After basic training, he applied to join Special Forces. Everyone said he wouldn't make it. Too young, too inexperienced, too weak. But Marcus was different. Inside him burned a fire no one could see. Even during the toughest days of training, he never gave up. During night watches, while others slept, he did extra training. His instructors were initially skeptical, but over time they realized that Marcus wasn't just physically strong. His mental resilience was extraordinary. After completing Special Forces training, he received his first assignment in Afghanistan. It was 2019, and the situation was quite complex. Marcus's unit was conducting special operations in Helmand Province, in an area controlled by the Taliban. The first month passed quietly. Marcus focused on learning alongside experienced soldiers. The team leader, Sergeant Rodriguez, was a tough but fair man. It took time for him to trust Marcus, but as he saw the young man's determination, he began giving him more responsibility. Everything changed on that cold December night. According to intelligence reports, one of the Taliban leaders, Abu Rashid, was hiding in a nearby village. This man was responsible for many attacks in the region, and capturing him was critical. The operation would begin at midnight. Marcus's team would enter from the north side of the village. The plan was simple: approach silently, capture the target, withdraw, but the field never goes according to plan. As they approached the village, Marcus noticed something strange. The streets were too quiet. Even the dogs weren't barking. Experienced soldiers would know this was a bad sign, but that night everyone was adrenaline-fueled and focused. Sergeant Rodriguez divided the team into 2 groups. Marcus would enter from the back of the house with Special Forces operator Smith and 2 soldiers. The other group would control the front. But the house was empty, just empty rooms, scattered belongings, and a cold fireplace. Marcus felt something was wrong. Rodriguez's voice came through his earpiece. Charlie team, report your position. Alpha team to Charlie team, house is clear, target is not here. Just then, machine gun fire erupted from the roof of the building where Marcus was located. The Taliban had set a trap, and the American forces were right in the middle of it. Ambush, ambush! Rodriguez's scream came through the radio, but it was hard to hear over the gunfire. Marcus, Smith, and the other 2 soldiers were trapped inside the house. They wanted to help their friends who were under heavy fire outside, but their exits were completely blocked. Johnson, Smith shouted, there's a sniper on the roof. We can't get out until we neutralize him. Marcus looked at the narrow stairs inside the house. Going up to the roof was a suicide mission, but there was no other choice. Cover me, he said, and ran toward the stairs. When he reached the roof, he faced 3 Taliban fighters. One was sweeping the American forces below with a machine gun, while the other 2 turned toward Marcus as they spotted him. The next 30 seconds were the longest moments of Marcus's life. Using everything he learned in training, his reflexes, he neutralized all 3 enemies. But while the machine gun had fallen silent, fire continued from other points in the village. Looking down from the roof, he saw that Sergeant Rodriguez was wounded. Blood was flowing from the man's leg, and he was trapped in open terrain. Other team members were trying to reach him, but the line of fire was too heavy. Marcus didn't hesitate. He rappelled down from the roof and ran toward Rodriguez. Bullets whizzed past him, but he was focused only on his wounded friend. When he carried Rodriguez to safety on his shoulder, the sergeant looked at him with shocked eyes. "Johnson, are you crazy? You could have died." Marcus just smiled. "Sergeant, I couldn't leave you there." That night, the rest of the team returned safely to base. Rodriguez was taken to the hospital, and his leg was saved. Marcus, meanwhile, was met with something he never expected, a promotion. But more importantly, everything had changed after that night. Marcus was no longer just a young soldier. In the eyes of his teammates, he had become someone reliable, brave, and selfless. After Sergeant Rodriguez recovered, he recommended Marcus for special operations. For the next 2 years, Marcus served in Afghanistan's most dangerous regions. He participated in dozens of operations, saved countless lives, and never left his friends behind. Other units began to know him as Ghost, because he could move silently behind enemy lines and accomplish impossible missions. In 2021, when the withdrawal operation from Afghanistan began, Marcus's unit was among the last groups to leave. He was tasked with coordinating civilian evacuations in the chaos at Kabul airport. During those days, an event occurred that would change Marcus's life. Among the Afghan families waiting at the airport were an elderly man and his young grandson. The man was a former interpreter trying to escape from the Taliban and had worked with American forces for years, but his documents were incomplete. Other soldiers were trying to turn the man away. When Marcus saw the situation, he noticed the desperation in the old man's eyes. This was the same expression he had seen in his own childhood. Abandonment, being forsaken. Marcus, going against orders, took the old man and his grandson under his own responsibility. He arranged fake identity cards for them and got them on the plane. This meant taking a huge risk, but Marcus had done what he knew was right. A few weeks later, Marcus's commander called him in. "Johnson, you disobeyed orders. That Afghan family's documents turned out to be fake." Marcus hung his head. "Sir, I know. So what do you have to say?" Marcus straightened up. "Sir, that man was our interpreter for 2 years. Many of our friends are alive because of him. I couldn't hand him over to the Taliban." The commander looked at Marcus for a long time. "Finally, Johnson, you're a good soldier, but breaking rules is unacceptable. Your promotion is canceled, and you can apply for early discharge." Marcus nodded. "Understood, sir." Thus, Marcus Johnson left the military at the end of 2021. But when he left, he had a gift from his friends, a special pin to wear on his chest. This pin was an unofficial but very valuable insignia, given only to soldiers who showed extraordinary courage. When he returned to America, Marcus had nothing waiting for him. No family, no home, no job. He had some money saved from his military salary, but this wouldn't last long. He returned to Alabama, to the town where he was born. Millerville seemed unchanged. Same narrow streets, same small shops, same slow pace of life. But Marcus was different now. Inside him were experiences and stories gained in the world's most dangerous places. For the first few months, he worked temporary jobs, construction, restaurants, cleaning companies, but none were permanent. Marcus had a big plan in his head, to start his own business. In town, he had seen an old garage standing empty. The location was perfect. On the main street, plenty of parking, and reasonably priced. Marcus wanted to buy this place and open an auto repair service. Although his experience before the military was limited, he had learned to repair vehicles in Afghanistan. But for this, he needed a loan, $50,000. This was the amount needed to turn his dream into reality. First, he went to the biggest bank in town, Millerville Community Bank. The bank manager, David Harrison, was a 45-year-old fat and conceited man. He enjoyed reminding everyone that his family was one of the wealthiest families in town. When Marcus entered Harrison's office, he had prepared himself. He wore a suit, brought all his documents, and had prepared his business plan in detail. "Mr. Harrison," Marcus said, "I'm Marcus Johnson. I want to apply for a loan to open an auto repair service." Harrison looked Marcus up and down. "Sit down. Do you have proof of income?" Sir, I just left the military. I don't have regular income yet, but when I start the business, Harrison raised his hand. Stop, if you don't have proof of income, you can't apply. It's that simple. Marcus objected. But sir, I served 2 tours in Afghanistan, special forces. Listen, kid, Harrison said in a mocking tone. This is a town bank. We don't listen to stories. We want documents. Come back when you have income. Marcus's blood boiled, but he didn't raise his voice. Mr. Harrison, I was born in this town. My family lived here. I'm asking you to give me a chance. Harrison closed the file. Try your luck elsewhere. Marcus stood up but tried one more thing. Sir, what if I could provide collateral? My medals from the military. My certificates. This time Harrison laughed. Medals? Those don't count here. Go find another place. As Marcus left the bank, Harrison's laughter rang in his ears. But what hurt him most was that the bank employees were laughing too, as if his dreams were a source of entertainment. At the bank's entrance stood an elderly security guard. The man had graying hair, a slightly stooped back, but there was still military discipline in his posture. Marcus noticed the man was looking at him carefully. Good day, Marcus said as he passed by the man. The security guard nodded but said nothing. He just focused his eyes on the small pin on Marcus's shoulder. This pin symbolized Marcus's service in special forces. Marcus left the bank and went to the small cafe in town. He wanted to have a coffee and clear his head, but his mind kept getting stuck on the scene at the bank. Harrison's mocking smile, the indifference of other employees. When he finished his coffee, it was 2 p.m. He took out his phone and called other banks, but the answer was always the same. We can't give you a loan without proof of income. His hopes were exhausted. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe he was just a dreamy ex-soldier and the real world was completely different. On his way home, he was passing by the small park in the center of town. There he saw the bank's security guard. The man was sitting on a bench, shuffling through something. Marcus approached curiously. Sir, do you live here too? The old man looked up. I'm Frank Miller. You're the kid from the bank today, aren't you? Marcus nodded. Marcus Johnson. Yeah, it didn't go very well. Frank smiled. Sit here. Marcus sat next to Frank. They sat silently for a while. Where did you serve? Frank finally asked. Afghanistan. 2 tours. Were you a soldier too? Frank nodded. Vietnam. 1967-69. Marine. Marcus was surprised. Really? I was in special forces. Frank's eyes lit up. I noticed that pin. That's hard to earn. Yes, sir. But apparently nobody here cares. Frank took a deep breath. Marcus, I heard what that guy at the bank said. Do you have a good business plan? Marcus took the file out of his bag. Yes, sir. I planned everything in detail. Frank examined the plan. After a few minutes, this is really a solid plan. You can do this job, but I can't get a loan. Frank thought for a while. Marcus, I'm going to make a phone call tomorrow. You go back to the bank the day after tomorrow. This time, don't talk directly to Harrison. Talk to the regional manager. Marcus was surprised. Regional manager, would he come? Frank smiled secretly. He will. The next morning, Frank Miller called an old friend. His friend was a high-ranking officer at the Pentagon and was currently serving as military affairs coordinator in Alabama. Jim, Frank said, I'm going to ask you for a favor. Tell me, Frank, there's a young Special Forces veteran here, Marcus Johnson. He served 2 tours in Afghanistan. Now he's trying to start a business, but the banks won't help. Jim took notes. What do you want me to do? Just a phone call to Millerville Community Bank. Tell the regional manager who this kid is. Got it. It'll be handled tomorrow. The next afternoon, at Millerville Community Bank, the alarm bell started ringing. But this wasn't a fire alarm. It was bank manager Harrison's office phone. Harrison, he said, answering the phone. Mr. Harrison, this is Colonel James Patterson, Alabama Military Affairs Coordinator. I'm calling to speak to you about a young man named Marcus Johnson. Harrison's hand began to tremble. Well, yes, sir. This young man served 2 tours in Afghanistan with Special Forces. He saved 12 lives, carried his team leader on his back during an ambush. I heard he applied for a loan. Sir, I mean he. Mr. Harrison, this kid is a hero. And if he leaves that bank empty-handed, you'll be responsible for it. Is that understood? You understood, sir. Good. I'm also calling your regional manager, Oliver Banks. He'll be handling this matter with you tomorrow. When the phone hung up, Harrison's hand was still trembling. 30 minutes later, regional manager Banks called. Harrison, I'll be with you tomorrow. About Marcus Johnson. That night, Harrison couldn't sleep. He came to the bank early in the morning and started asking Frank Miller questions. Frank, did I tell you something yesterday? Frank looked with an innocent expression. About what, David? About that kid named Marcus. I just said he was a good kid. Harrison couldn't ask anything more because just then a black SUV parked in front of the bank. The man who got out was wearing a suit and had a serious face. This was Regional Manager Oliver Banks. Banks went straight to Harrison's office. David, tell me about Marcus Johnson. Harrison, sweating, said, Sir, he applied for a loan yesterday, but his documents were incomplete. His documents were incomplete. What was missing? Proof of income, sir. Banks frowned. David, this man is an Afghanistan veteran. Special Forces. Did you knowingly reject him? Sir, I followed the rules. Rules? Banks raised his voice. It's because of the rules this man established that you can sit here comfortably. Just then Marcus entered the bank. Frank had told him the regional manager would come, but Marcus didn't quite believe it. Banks stood up when he saw Marcus. Mr. Johnson? I'm Oliver Banks, regional manager. Can we talk? Marcus was surprised. Of course, sir. Banks took Marcus to a separate room. Mr. Johnson, I apologize for what happened yesterday. You served in Special Forces. Yes, sir. 2 tours in Afghanistan. What kind of operations? Marcus hesitated. Sir, I don't really like talking about these things. Banks smiled. I understand. Can I see your business plan? Marcus took out his file. Banks carefully examined the plan. This is very detailed work. You can really do this job. So is $50,000 loan enough? Marcus's mouth fell open. Sir, are you serious? Very serious. But right now it's just between you and me. Tomorrow we'll organize a small ceremony here. The whole town will see how we take care of our veterans. Marcus felt his eyes welling up. Sir, I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me. Thank Frank Miller. Frank Miller? Banks smiled. That old man has much more connections than you think. The next day, a small crowd had gathered in the center of town. As Banks handed Marcus the check, people applauded. But the real surprise happened at that moment. 8 military vehicles parked in front of the bank. The soldiers who got out were Marcus's former teammates. Sergeant Rodriguez was among them too. Johnson, Rodriguez shouted, did you like seeing us here? Marcus ran and hugged his friends. How did you find out? Frank Miller called us. Do you know who this old man is? Marcus looked at Frank. The old man was smiling. Rodriguez continued. He won the Medal of Honor in Vietnam. He stopped a 30-man enemy unit single-handedly, and he knows half the Pentagon. Frank approached Marcus. Son, we take care of each other. You protected your friends in Afghanistan. Now we're protecting you. That day, Marcus didn't just get a loan. He also learned that no veteran is ever alone, that they always have a family. 3 months later, Marcus's auto repair service opened. The business he named Johnson's Auto Care quickly became the town's most trusted repair service. But Marcus didn't charge any veteran. This was his way of giving back the help he received. Harrison, meanwhile, left the bank a few weeks later. The official reason was personal reasons, but everyone knew the truth. When Frank Miller retired, Marcus gave him a special gift, a sign to hang on the store door. It read, Frank Miller Veterans Support Center. No hero stands alone. This wasn't just a lone story. This was a story of courage, brotherhood, and that no good deed goes unrewarded. When Marcus Johnson was rejected at the bank in his small town, he seemed to have lost hope. But in reality, he was about to win his biggest battle, proving that a veteran is never alone. Today, Marcus's business is still open. On its walls hang photos of his friends from Afghanistan, and every day young men from town come there to hear courage stories from him. Because some victories aren't won on battlefields. Some begin with the mercy of an elderly security guard in a small town bank. And Marcus Johnson's story teaches us this. Kindness is never lost. It just finds its return at the right time, by the right person. Have you ever known someone like Marcus? Or someone like Frank Miller who quietly does good? Share their stories in the comments. At Human Stories channel, we continue to share such real stories. Don't forget to subscribe, because every story has a lesson. Every hero has a voice that deserves to be heard. Because the greatest heroes often sit alone at coffee shops, but their brotherhood echoes across continents when the time comes.